Good afternoon from Berlin. My name is Ulrich Plein. I'm the head of the Green Button office, and I have the pleasure to introduce the Green Button to you. The Green Button is a government-run certificate for textiles and garments, and the next slide will show you what the Green Button stands for. Slide. The first question is, why do we need something like the Green Button? Now, I think many of us do have the problem that we would like to purchase sustainably produced garments and textiles, but it's sometimes a little bit difficult to properly identify these goods. So in our wish to look for sustainability, we look into environmental and into socially sound produced garments. And the Green Button fulfills both criteria. In addition, it's government run, which we do believe gives a certain kind of trust, and it is certified by independent auditors. The Green Button has been initiated almost a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, by the German government, and it's part of what we call a smart mix for the textile and garment sector to make it more sustainable. We have on the one hand activities which are mandatory, and on the other hand we have activities like the Green Button where companies feel free to participate or not. Besides the Green Button, we also have the Partnership for Sustainable Textiles, which is a multi-stakeholder platform which brings together producing and retailing companies on the one hand, governments and civil society with NGOs working in the sector on the other hand. And together they initiate activities which try to bring more sustainability to the sector. Then in addition, and you know that not only on the German level, but also in international European level, we are all working on due diligence regulations. And we expect that in Germany there might be a new law on due diligence and on the responsibilities in the respective supply chains, especially textile, but also for other supply chains. We expect to have this within this year. So with all these activities criteria together, we do believe that the Green Button is a button and a certificate which is important for the future. Now, the next slide shows the criteria which the Green Button stands for. I'm sorry, I think we have to start again because we're in the... Can we stop it? Sorry, I mean, you're too far with the presentation. Ja. Wir müssen das klarer machen, wann die nächste Folie kommt. Ich sage es deutlich, ich sage dann einfach Slide, weil wir waren jetzt schon 2 Folien zu weit. Ja, ich sage es extra. Okay. Ja. Good afternoon from Berlin. My name is Uli Plein. I'm working for GIZ and I'm currently heading the Green Button office. The Green Button is a government-run certificate for textiles and garments, And the next slide will show you what the green button stands for. Next slide, please. So the first question is, why do we need something like the green button? I think many of us have the problem that we do not properly understand how our garments are being produced. And we have a high interest to purchase sustainably produced garments. We look into sustainability in many areas of our life. And we know that especially garments and textiles are very critically when it comes to sustainability. So the green button tries to bring together environmentally sound and socially sound produced garments and textiles. It is a certificate which is government run, which means people can trust in it. And it is certified by independent auditors. As such, it is part of what we in Germany call the smart mix, which has been implemented by our government, which has a mix of different activities to make the textile and garment sector more sustainable. Besides the green button, we have the Partnership for Sustainable Textiles, which is a multi-stakeholder platform where companies from the production sector, but also retailers, come together with government and with civil society, NGOs working in the sector, trying to jointly develop activities which make the sector, the garment production, more sustainable. And on top of that, our government, but also European Union, is working on a law which takes into consideration due diligence in the textile sector, but also beyond, and which will make companies in a certain way responsible for what they are producing and selling along the supply chain. Next slide, please. So the green button works in a way that we look into some company requirements, which we call due diligence requirements, and into product requirements. Product requirements are, I think, well known in the sector. Here we talk about, for instance, organic cotton, or about wastewater treatment, about the usage of chemicals, and so on. And when it comes to company requirements, we talk about due diligence, which I will explain later. And together, if these 20 due diligence requirements and 26 product requirements are being fulfilled, the product can use the green button certificate. Now, the green button certificate is a certificate which we call a meta certificate, because we made use of already existing certificates in the sector, which means we don't go into all criteria and check them one by one, but for those products which are already being audited through other certificates, like GOTS or Cradle to Cradle and so on, we do accept this certification and certify them with the green button on top. The difference which we have compared to many other certificates is that we look into both the product and the company certificates, so criteria, so that due diligence plays a crucial role. Next slide will show us what due diligence means. When we talk about due diligence in the green button, it is based on OECD and UN principles, and it is mainly based on these 5 core elements, which you can see in this slide. The first one is that a company has to align its corporate policy, meaning that sustainability has to be part of the company policy, not only quality, not only profit making, but sustainability as such. The company needs to identify and prioritize risks which could happen, for instance, in production areas, in other production companies. their own producing companies or companies from where they place orders. After these risks are being prioritized, companies have to take effective measures to avoid these risks or to fight these risks in the future. And I think one of the most critical parts when it comes to due diligence is that companies have to report in a transparent manner about their risks and about their activities in that context. And the fifth core element is about grievance, which has to be taken into account, which means companies should, for instance, make sure that in production countries, in companies in these production countries, grievance can be taken that in a way that, for instance, effectively workers can set up a worker union and can communicate with the management about challenges and problems which are existing and which should be handled properly. Next slide. Now, what we have achieved so far, the green button is a little bit more than 1 year old, and we already have achieved a lot, I do believe. For instance, in the first half of the last year, 2020, approximately 50 million items, textile and garment items, have been sold with the green button. We do expect that this number might raise to maybe 2 to 5 billion, or is a percentage from 2 to 3% of what is completely sold. The products are different. We start from simple T-shirts over jeans, trousers, outdoor jackets, home textiles, and so on. So it has a wide range so far. And we have understood that 1 out of 3 people in Germany do know the green button and do trust the green button. And this is what we have achieved so far, and we will continue following these measurements and evaluating our achievements. And we will definitely, currently the green button is mainly being implemented in Germany, but we do go international. We have the first company in Denmark being certified just a few weeks ago, and for sure other European countries will follow, and companies as well, being certified, so that the green button will be an internationally recognized certificate. Next slide, please. Now, the green button is a certificate which is meant to improve again and again. So it's nothing which, as a certificate, is being established and then held at that level, but it should show continuous improvement. So for us, it is very important to work on the criteria, to counter-check how well these criteria are being fulfilled, to train auditors so that they do really proper work when they audit the companies. And in this context, currently we are developing a new version of the green button, which we call the green button 2.0, where we do believe that especially the company criteria, the due diligence criteria have to improve. We want to improve the issue of transparency. We want to go deeper into the supply chains. Currently, the green button is mainly concentrating on the garmenting and on the wet processing, but we would like to include other parts of the value chain as well. And we intensively do discuss the issue, not only the issue of minimum wages, but the issue of living wages, knowing that this is not easy to fulfill, but at least the green button should make sure that steps into that direction will be taken and an impact will be visible within the implementation of the Green Button 2.0. So currently we have developed what we call the kind of master criteria, and they are under revision, they are under consultation. There's a public consultation which we would be happy if you participate as a consumer, as a producer, as an NGO, as a private person, whatever your interest is. You will find the access to the consultation on our homepage, Green Button. And we would be happy if you would help us to make this Green Button better, to make the textile and garment sector more sustainable, and to improve mainly also the living conditions for the workers in the textile and garment sector. With this, I would like to, next slide, I would like to end my short presentation. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to present, and I'm open to discuss and to answer your questions.